lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party. Roll up to the party.
Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. Lots to talk about this morning. It is Friday, we're one day closer to the cup final. Yes, the cup final, the first piece of silverware of the season is up for grabs this weekend. And let's face it, Celtic are favourites, and we're favourites for all the right reasons. I'm not going to even talk about that a lot. It's all about Celtic, and it's all about what we can do. Chris Sutton's been talking about what he thinks Kyogo will be able to do this weekend, and his fantastic run to be extended in the Glasgow derby. Kasper Schmeichel's been talking about, look, forget about contract talks, it's all about winning the cup final. And before that, I want to talk about a little Celtic player. There's a lot of clambering and a lot of noise being made about one Celtic youth player who is he's not been offered the contract allegedly by Celtic, and he's going to be leaving in the future by the looks of it. He hasn't signed a new deal at Celtic, but there's another striker. Okay, we're talking about Cummins, Daniel Cummins, and but there's another striker at Celtic that I think will come back to Celtic in the next couple of weeks and will excel as a Celtic player. Yes, the little man who's been back in Ireland for a couple of seasons. And I'm going to tell you the reasons why I think Johnny Kenny will be a success at Celtic. Okay? But first of all, I think that when you look at, and Brendan Rodgers has been a big advocate of this. He's been a big advocate of players having a football education. Now, Johnny Kenny listened to the management team over the last couple of years, and he went away and done his thing, and he got his football education, and he started banging in goals in the Europa Conference League, and he just did what he's paid to do: go and score goals and learn how to play football at an adult level, should I say. And when you see players that have came through the B team at Celtic, and you see the players that have came through the B team at Celtic, and they don't have first team experience, but they expect to be paid first team wage, and they expect to be going straight into the first team and play first team football without having that football experience and education, as Brendan Rodgers likes to put it. Now, the fact that young Johnny Kenny is coming back to Celtic, and we are still in the market for that third choice striker, well, we have him from in. The fact that the strikers scored something like 20 goals in all competitions for Shamrock Rovers this season, I think it plays into Brendan Rodgers' hands and what he says players must do and go through before they will come into the first team. It's okay, younger players thinking that they're good players, and you can see they have the talent and they have the potential, but they have to go through a football education. There's not many players that come into Celtic or any team, the matter. I mean, you can even look at Barcelona. I mean, they've taken their starlet out the first team to protect him. He was slightly injured, but he's came back, and they're smothering him. They're making sure that he's not going to get overplayed. They're using his talent wisely, and that is going to benefit the Spanish national team. But when you look at Johnny Kenny, the fact that he's went way back to Ireland, he's got his head down, he's just got on with his work. He did bemoan the fact that there hasn't been a lot of contact from Celtic, but Celtic will be watching from afar. They might not be in contact with him personally, but you can bet your bottom dollar that they're keeping an eye on him on a week-to-week basis. If not monthly basis, they'll be getting reports back from Ireland on how he is progressing as a player. Now, the reason that I'm talking about Johnny Kenny is because he's a player that came into Celtic at only 18-year-old. And yes, he could have went into the B team, and I think it was good that Celtic decided not the B team would maybe ruin him the way that it's ruined and delusions of grandeur that some of these young players seem to get in our B team. But he is on his way back, and can he force his way into the Celtic first team is the big question. When it comes to the cup final this weekend, there is only one man that will do his talking on the pitch, and that is Kyogo, which takes us in nicely into the next segment of the video. Chris Sutton has been talking about Kyogo and his magnificent, absolutely magnificent record when it comes to the Glasgow derby. And Chris Sutton doesn't think it's going to be any different this weekend. He says, look, he's lethal. He's absolutely lethal when it comes to derby games, and that record will be extended at Hampden. He went on to say, Kyogo Ferreira is fabulous. but then he's also frustrated. But then come Rangers, and that's when the Celtic striker usually just turns up, isn't it? He likes scoring against them. He does like scoring against the Rangers. There's no real reason why he won't extend his marvellous record, says Chris Sutton when he gets back to Hampden. He says that he's a big player and he delivers in big games when it comes to Scotland. There's no bigger fixture than the Glasgow Derby, and especially when it's a cup final this weekend. And I think that they'll think that they've got a chance of winning. But Celtic have been dogged in their performances and over the last couple of weeks at the highest level. They've defended with vigour and they've defended really well, and that's why I don't think that Rangers are really going to have much of a chance. I think it's Celtic's game to lose this weekend. In all honesty, that's just my opinion. I think it is Celtic's game to lose, and we will get nervous. You'll get nervous before it, and if you don't get nervous before it, there's something far wrong. But when you look at the firepower that we have on the bench, when you look at the squad that we have, and Brendan Rodgers will have a big decision to make. Does he go with Rio Hutati, who in the last game was just, well, we're real. And does he go with Rio Hutati? Does he bring in another player to play in the midfield that makes it a bit more difficult? That's the big call that Brendan will make this weekend. And let's face it, he's the manager and he knows how to win at Hampden. And that's the big thing. He does know how to win at Hampden. But anyway, the Premier Sports Cup is on Sunday. There's no reason to think that Kyogo will be central to the success of Celtic this weekend. It says, if you don't go to win the trophy, I don't think it's going to be a disaster. If you look at the bigger picture, it says, look, we all want to win. Chris. We want the treble this year. And this is the first part of the treble. And if you don't win this trophy, you can go on to win the double. Yes, we all understand that. And they did it last year. They won that cup and we went on to win a double. But we want to go down as history makers. Celtic want to go down as history makers this season. And part of being history makers is obviously getting that elusive treble. And trebles are hard enough to achieve. I mean, Celtic have been spoilt over the years. And Rangers fans saying, I can remember under Ronnie Dyla, and Rangers fans saying, Celtic should have won more trebles. Well, it's funny, because when Rangers then came into the league as this new club, that was the period of dominance that kind of set Celtic on their way for various trebles. So them saying that is just unbelievable. But tell me what you think the scoreline will be this weekend. I mean, I'm going to talk about the team. I think that we'll leave the team to Brendan Rodgers, because I picked the team for the game on Tuesday, and I picked what I thought was Brendan Rodgers' strongest team, and it just happened to be the team that Brendan Rodgers picked. But on the night, some of the players didn't perform. Will they perform at Hampden because it's a cup final? It's going to be a different kind of game. Will it be a different kind of game? Because I think that they'll kind of sit back and they'll try and hit us on the counter-attack. That's the way that they seem to do it in European football. So they'll see it as a big game for them. They'll see it as a massive game. They did play Spurs last night. I have no idea what the score is. I'm not interested. But because I haven't even looked at it. That's how interested I am. But I think that when it comes to it, we've got James Forrest on the bench. We've got other players that can come off the bench and make a massive impact in the game. Will James Forrest even start? But I doubt that, because he's going to go with Kyogo, Dyson and Nico Kuhn. They don't do much wrong up front. But anyway, the fact is that when it comes to Sunday, as soon as the players cross the line, it is all up to the players. We can do all the talking that we want about it beforehand, and we can make predictions, but let's face it, all happens on the pitch, and whatever happens on the pitch, I'm sure that Celtic will come out and be a success. And talking about success, a man that's had plenty of it in his career is Kasper Schmeichel, and he's on a 12-month contract, and he has that option of the second year. Now, it's not an option that he gets to trigger. It's an option that Celtic and Brendan Rodgers triggers. So it's entirely in Brendan Rodgers' hands. But Kasper Schmeichel says, look, I'm not even thinking about contracts. I just want to inflict final misery on Rangers at the weekend, and that's my priority. That's my priority, is to win the cup this weekend. For him to go on and win the first cup that's up for grabs in Scotland would be a fantastic achievement for him as a player. The player that has over 100 international caps for his country and still fancies himself to be able to go to the next World Cup. Yes, Kasper Schmeichel insists that his focus is on glory to the Celts at Hampden this weekend. The Celtic keeper says, look, when it comes to success, having success over Rangers this weekend, he says that's going to be the big moment for me. Brendan Rodgers has the desire, I have the desire, and we have the hunger to win this game at the weekend. Celtic can trigger that extension, but is Schmeichel part of the long-term plans? Yes, I think he will be, and I think Brendan Rodgers will trigger. Of course, he's going to trigger it. I mean, him and Kasper go way back, and I don't think that there's any fear of Kasper not getting an extra year's deal, but like he says, that's for another day. He goes on to say, look, I take every single day as it comes. I join every single game that you get to play, and when you take it from there. At the moment, the contract's not even on my radar, and I'm not even thinking about it. We're that busy playing games just now. It's 3 games a week just now. We're getting the game, then it's a rest day, then it's back in, and we're getting ready for the next game. We're not even getting time to fucking do anything. It says, but I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it here at Celtic, and that's what I'm here for, to win things. And this is the first opportunity that I have to win something at Celtic and go on to be another Celtic goalkeeping legend. Yes, Schmeichel knows it's a huge encounter, but I think with these type of games, you've got to play the game and not the occasion. And a lot of people, he does have that experience of big moments, and he has big saves, and I've got to say he's a far better keeper than the opposing keeper that we're going to face this weekend. But he went on to say, Kasper Schmeichel, I think it's a great occasion, particularly for the fans, like I said before. For us players, it's about removing the emotion from the game. It's about the game and not getting caught up in the emotion of the occasion. The fact that there will be 50-50 fans in Hampden, yes, we will face our old foe and we'll listen to their bile of being up to their knees and Fenian blood, etc., etc., etc. But it's like Roy Aitken said, I don't know the words to the Billy Boys, because by the time they get to the first verse, we've usually scored. Let's hope it's that this weekend. Let's hope that Kyogo does that. Kasper Schmeichel wants to go and do the job on the pitch. He wants to win the match. What do you think? Do you think that Celtic will win it this weekend? Of course, Kasper Schmeichel does. I think we do, and I think that Brendan Rodgers will think that we will. I think that every single Celtic fan out there will think that they can win it. So let's do a live tonight, and we might even talk about it before the game this weekend. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.